Okay, as you all know, I am Robert C. Dupree, and I just want to give the update on the 2018 version of what had happened and going on still in this legal matter. Now, first of all, I want to point out, as God's man or a Christian, we all know that, the custom of the world or the world that is in the system is really against us anyway. But however, I feel and believe that, this type of injustice that is going on and still is going on, not only just in my case, but this basically throughout the world or whichever. But from my own personal experience, I want to share what I know for a fact that General Mills and the courts do not want to be known. And it's a constantly an ongoing battle, and more importantly, I feel that I have a moral obligation to bring this to the American people's attention, as well as I feel and believe that you all have the right to know this, because we're talking about our courts and we're talking about certain corporations and things. If they are allowed to be able to manipulate our court system to violate our civil and constitutional right, this is a lot bigger than just Robert C. Dupree. Yes, sir. It's a lot bigger than Robert C. Dupree. And since, I will encourage anyone, you put your faith and trust in the Lord Jesus. I mean, that's ultimately, trust him for any and everything. Because the system of the world, trust me, it is not in your favor, and especially if you're trying to live and do right. So that's just the way it is. Amen. So nevertheless, I am going to ask all my Facebook friends and the American people and all those who watch this, I want to ask you all to kind of be like a juror. Something that I know for a fact that General Mills and the courts did not want, and they didn't allow this to go before a juror. And I want to put emphasis, a strong emphasis on about this, Judge Gary A. Fenner, the federal judge down here in the Kansas City area, from the Western District courthouse down here, and how that this particular judge, back in 2010, he resided over General Mills, a union, bakery, confectionery, tobacco worker, and grain miller, local 16, number 16G, and which have you, and my former attorney, Jeffrey Sutton, and the Burnett and Jameson law firm, or the Burnett law firm. My point I wanted to bring out is that during that particular time, how that obviously there was evidence that clearly showed that the ruling should have been in my favor about a lot of conspiracy and stuff involving and dealing with the settlement of full relief, fraud, deceit, and so forth. But I want to make my point. My point is, when evidence had been shown of such, well, this Judge Gary A. Fenner closed the case in its entirety with prejudice, and I'm just going to try to cut through a lot of this chafe. And then I had appealed this case, and then when the case was appealed, talking about here in 2010, well, I found out that this particular judge in the courts, the district court down there, they left off very relevant, important documents that strongly supported my case against General Mills. And then when I brought that to the Court of Appeals' attention, well, by law, according to laws and things, I'm supposed to make sure that they are aware of it down here in the district court and so forth, that they supposed to bring it up and send it up to the Court of Appeal. Well, he didn't. And shortly after that, General Mills, the union, the lawyer, and all of them, they collectively lied and alleged that I didn't file in a timely manner. That also I brought out to the Court of Appeal. So, and I made a complaint against the Judge Gary A. Fenner. And when I requested a complaint form from the United States Court of Appeals up in St. Louis, up here still, well, my case was dismissed and closed. I'm just trying to get to my point. And nothing was done about it, despite him lying, talking about the judge now, Gary A. Fenner, talking about him lying, withholding information, refusing to send all documentations up required by the law or the Court of Appeals law and so forth. And, it's just on and on and on. And nothing was done. Went to the United States Supreme Court, denied, so forth and everything. And now, here in 2015, since I didn't get my rights upheld in the court, I was going to go ahead and make this known to the public even more so, and I had a website created. And then that brought about another lawsuit against Lamar's Advertising. Because they alleged and lied that the information on the website wasn't accurate and so forth. And then when I proved that it was, and they told me that, if you can prove that it is, well, then we go ahead and allow you to do that. And when I did, well, they start saying, oh, well, you can't prove it, start hanging up on me and so forth, and on and on and on. It gets better. The point I want to bring out, then I had to go ahead on and file a lawsuit because they refused to do this here when they said that they would do it and didn't uphold their agreement and so forth. And then after I filed the lawsuit, went to the state court. Well, they pulled it from the state court, put it back over to the federal court. Now, that part of it, they could have done that because it was a civil matter. But what the part that they could not have done and should not have done, legally, that is, they allowed the same judge, Gary A. Fenner, to be on this new lawsuit, which I had already complained against him for lying, withholding information, so forth and on and on. Nevertheless, to get to my point, they kept him on there. He refused to get off. And so what the district court did, because of my constantly complaining against him being on this case, well, and when I say they, I'm talking about the district court down there where Judge Gary A. Fenner is, and the United States Court of Appeal. Well, they cahoots and agreed to appeal my case that they had closed, never was reopened, saying that, well, the district court had appealed my case up to the Court of Appeal. And when I continuously rejected and denied that, well, nevertheless, they disclosed my case because they said I'm supposed to file a filing fee and so forth where I can be able to, take and appeal this case. My point is, I never appealed it. I didn't appeal that. They appealed it. And the reason why they appealed it is to get the heat away from Judge Gary A. Fenner down here, where a lot of my complaints continuously been on this particular judge and the opposing counsel, because he opposed strongly, and as well as the defendant, opposing counsel is Kevin A. Mason, who was the attorney of record for the White Ghost law firm, and representing Corporate Lamar Advertising and so forth. All of them opposed strongly my motions to have this judge recused off the case. And they did not do anything about it but let him. The chief judge down there, every last one of them. Matter of fact, here's some laws here regarding about getting this judge off the case. The federal court judge round up over here. Chapter 16 of Title 18 of the United States Code provides a way for any person to complaint against a federal judge who the person believes has engaged in conduct prejudice to the effective and expeditious administration, say, of the business of the court. Okay? Another law here. Federal law, 28 U.S.C. 455. Requires that any judge, justice, magistrate, judge of the United States shall disqualify himself in any proceedings in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Anytime this judge sat up here and lied, withheld information, a file motion requesting him to get off the case and leaving off documents and things around up over here, and then he's on a new lawsuit still involving with General Mills and the union, a lawyer, and all these other people's entities. The only thing that's different was the defendants. We got another defendant, which was Lamar's advertiser, and then the opposing counsel around up over here was representing these individuals. Here now in 2015 all the way up to 2018 and this year, and they still had dismissed and closed the case. And every time I send motions in opposition against it, oh well, they don't want to hear it. Saying the case has been closed. And with this type of practice or injustice, it is no more than legalized slavery. And just to hush and keep quiet about it like, oh well, it's really not all that bad. It's just, oh yes it is. Because it affects all of us more way than this one. Meaning, anytime an individual, and keep in mind, at one time I had legal representation during this particular time a while back, in and out of the courts, and that's a different situation there, how General Mills had gotten my attorney to deceive and coerce me and the signing documents and things. And this is where a lot of the battle is still stemming in and on and on and on and on. They do not want to hear what I have to say, and General Mills, believe me, in this case, cause of action is behind it all. What I mean behind it all, just like I said, because if General Mills in this cause of action have got more than enough documents and evidence to prove that, and it's already filed in the courts, been filed in the courts for years. This battle is going on now over 15, 17, going on 18 years in and out of the courts around here. And the latest with Lamar's and them back here in 2015, all the way still up here in 2017, which they closed. They're trying to keep the heat off of this judge, Gary A. Fenner down here, who know he had no business supposed to be on this case. No business. And laws requires that if I file in a timely manner, that I can request and have this judge off of this case, especially, I'm going to read this one again here. I'm going to read it again. Federal laws here, 28 U.S.C. 455, requires that any judge, justice, magistrate judge of the United States shall disqualify himself in any proceedings in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Now, if I had to file a complaint against this judge in prior proceedings when he was over it with the General Mills, the union, a lawyer, my former attorneys, and all them for lying, withholding information, alleging that I didn't file in a timely manner, and General Mills and all of them aiding in the conspiracy along with that. Come on. And now here's the same judge that has been placed it on a new lawsuit, which is now filed against Lamar's Advertiser and them for lying, saying that my information on the website wasn't accurate. And then the same judge on here. And now we got new defendants who are aiding in the conspiracy to keep this judge from being removed off of this case when the laws requires that if there's any impartiality of his that is questioned, he must be removed off of the case. No, what they did, they closed it. And then when they see that I continually pursuing after this matter, oh well, they just they decide to appeal it. And when I say they, I'm talking about the district court, the federal court judge, Gary A. Fenner, and then the U.S. United States Court of Appeals. And their judges and attorneys' names around here, they agreed, they removed the case, and then wanted me to file, pay the filing fee. Come on. For one, I didn't make any appeal. I wanted my case and still want my case to be down in the court of original jurisdiction, which is the United States District Court of the Western District of Missouri, the Western Division, here in Kansas City. That's where I wanted to stay at, and before a juror. They will not. They had not. And this is where it's going on right now. And trust me, the U.S. Department of Justice, they know about it in the criminal division. The U.S. Department of Justice in the civil division knows about it. As a matter of fact, even currently right now, even the FBI is involved in this here. Now, where is it going to go? Don't know. Our congressman, Daniel Cleaver, all these people, they know. They know. They know. NAACP, and I'm talking about currently right now, today, what's happening as you hear me speak. Right now. This is what's going on. But it appears like, oh well, I guess it's just, something they really don't want to too much address. But it's so blatant. And the facts and the evidence point towards deprivation of civil and constitutional rights. I want my right to a jury trial, please. Huh? I want to hear all that. But nevertheless, I just want the American people to, and I give you more of the update on what's happening in this cause of action here, involving here in 2018. Oh, there's a whole lot more to the story here. There is much, much more to the story.